quarter of 2014. So another milestone. And also to welcome Sophie White to the team as part of Democracy Services. So we have our apologies recorded by the team. We are quorate, and in the usual way, we'll cover the first 3 items together: apologies, declarations of interest, and confirmation of minutes. Just working our way through each of those. I've noted apologies, declarations of interest, a reminder to us all to keep our registers up to date with the management team. And I know that the management team from time to time proactively does that with members. And we've also had the minutes. Any matters arising from the minutes in terms of accuracy? I'm not seeing any hands. So with that, we'll take those 3 items together. Can I have someone to move, please? Thank you, Al. Someone to second, please. Yes, thank you, Kathy. All those in favour say aye. Against, abstentions, nods, thumbs up. Thank you. Let the record show that that's been approved. That takes us to the Tūpuna Maunga or Tamaki Makaurau Authority Draft Operational Plan 2021-22, agenda item 4. And so we'll ask Nick and Lee to talk to that. Thank you.
Tēnā tātou. Just recognising that we are coming up to the period where we have to notify our draft operational plan, and we will be inviting Auckland Council's governing body to approve the draft management operational plan alongside us. So in doing so, we have presented a copy of the draft operational plan and summary for approval at this week. Just noting, of course, the changes. I will take the paper and the report as read, but noting, of course, some of the high-level things that are different in this operational plan that are in the other operational plan, being the formatting. We've added a number of pictures and changed the way things are going. The way things are written in the report to allow for a better flow. We have also added some introductory commentary around who the Tūpuna Maunga Authority is, and noting the aspiration for World Heritage as part of this operational plan. And we've highlighted a number of, I guess, projects and programs of work that come from the Tūpuna Maunga strategies, which were approved in 2019 as part of the Tūpuna Maunga strategies work. And again, I will just leave that paper as read. And noting, of course, the next steps are to approve the draft plan. Note that we will be inviting Auckland Council governing body to approve the plan and delegating authority to the head of co-governance to incorporate into the draft operational plan in summary any minor topographical changes that may be identified. Kia ora whanau. Did I drop out?
No, that was me. Kia ora, Nick. Checking Lee, anything you'd like to add? Thank you. So we'll open it up for discussion, members. Are there any, and acknowledging the earlier discussion in the workshop session? Kia ora, Alf.
Just to acknowledge Nick and Lee and the team for the report, because from, I think, our elected members' perspective, it's something that we will be obviously advocating for when it goes in front of the governing body. So look, just want to say thank you.
Kia ora, Alf. Any other discussion? Kia ora, Kathy.
It's not directly related, but is related. Do we have any ETA on our new Tūpuna Maunga Authority member that might help us with the UNESCO bid from the ministry?
Kia ora, Dominic.
Unfortunately, no, but I have asked again with the Crown as to who their member is, but no further information from them.
Any other discussion? Also to acknowledge Nick, Lee and the team, this is a huge exercise and amount of work reflected here. It takes the plan to, or the annual plan to another level in terms of the accessibility and content. and I'm sure other parts of the council family will be looking at this as well in terms of how these can be presented, not just in terms of the mandatory requirements of information, and we have our own legislative scheme that does that, but also the greater context in terms of what this is all about, being the Tūpuna Maunga Authority. So with that, can I ask someone to move those recommendations that Nick has spoken to at page 11? Thank you, Kathy. Someone to second, please. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour say aye. Against, abstentions? Against, abstentions, thank you. That's clearly carried. Takes us to the Q1 report. Kia ora, Nick and Moonan.
Tēnā tātou. Again, I will take the report as read, but just to note the key highlights in the quarter. First of all, again, acknowledgements to the team for our response on COVID-19. We were able, as you'll be aware, we went back into level 3 lockdown, and during that period of time we were able to keep the Tūpuna Maunga open for quiet respite and for pedestrian access, and we did note that there was a significant uptake in people going and visiting the Tūpuna Maunga during that period of time. We also opened the Maungafo Boardwalk, but unfortunately we're unable to have a opening event given the level 2 lockdown restrictions at that period of time. We completed a successful planting season, planting approximately 22,000 plants, and in the individual Maunga programs you'll note the numbers that were planted per Maunga. We did do these mainly by Community Day, but unfortunately at the likes of Te Panea Mataoho, Te Arapueru, Mangere Mountain, and a number of other days had to be cancelled due to the COVID restrictions and the inability for us to do that in a safe way, noting the lockdown requirements at that particular time. We were also able to remove approximately 2 hectares of privet from Maunga and utilise the mulch from that privet for our plantings at Maunga. So again, that was a very successful project, and yeah, big thanks to the team. So that's my end of the operational report, and I'll ask Moonan if he can update us with regards to the financials.
Kia ora, Nick. Tēnā koutou katoa. So just the Q1 financials ending 30th of September, which on the revenue side, we're just in line with the budget numbers. Expenditure is slightly favourable, purely because of the timing, and some of them are relating to COVID-19, where some of the work wasn't progressed. In the capital projects space, the projects, a lot of projects have been scoped at the moment, and Q2 will see a number of projects been progress. So once again, it's the timing, and you'll see a lot more happening in Q2 onwards. And the rest of the report can be taken as read, and happy to take any questions.
Kia ora kōrua. We'll open it up for discussion now. Any questions or comments, members? Doesn't seem so. So again, acknowledging the wider discussion that we had in the workshop. I'm just noting that in terms of the open session recommendations for this item, we have as a purpose considering the plan, just confirming in terms of a formal recommendation of approving the quarterly report. I'm happy to move, and can I ask you, Bernie, to second that recommendation, please? Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Against, abstentions, thumbs up. Confirmed, pass. Thank you. Takes us to item 6, the Maunga Tū Wata Wata project. And kia ora, Nick, kia ora, Liz.
Tēnā no tātou. So we've been discussing over a period of time the possibilities of a Tū Wata Wata project, in particular on Maunga. The reason for that project has been around some of our ageing infrastructure on the Maunga, one being a 7-wire post and batten fence at the tihi of the maunga, which prevents people from walking over a cliff, and the others being the ageing car barriers. So our proposal is to begin looking at replacing these with something that is in line with the cultural infrastructure that are noted inside our Tūpuna Maunga Integrated Management Plan and inside our Tūpuna Maunga strategies, in particular palisading fences or tūwatawata. And this here will mark, I guess, the beginning, a pilot project for us with regards to cultural infrastructure on the Tūpuna Maunga. We have approached mana whenua, the 3 rōpū, to come to us with any particular carvers they're liking us to work with. And the next part of the process is just continued engagement with them to come up with the appropriate tohunga whakairo to be discussing with from each of those rōpū. And we also intend to continue reporting back to the Tūpuna Maunga Authority as those designs are completed and we move to a detailed detailed design process. So with that, I'll leave it up. I'll open it up for any other questions.
Just before that, just checking with you, Liz, anything you want to add?
No, thank you, Paul. Nick's covered it all off.
Thank you. We'll open that up for discussion, members. Well, acknowledging again our early discussion in the workshop on this item and referring ourselves to the recommendations at page 119. Can I have someone to move those recommendations, please? Thank you, Josephine. And seconded, Tony, thank you. All those in favour say aye. Thumbs up, hands. Against, abstentions. Thank you, Dennis. Carried. Takes us to the registers. And we'll start with health and safety. This month's colour is green. Just before we open that up for any questions or discussion, recognising that there are a couple of items on the list that relate to fireworks, want to acknowledge the very significant exercise and effort that was put in by our management team, by mana whenua and by a large number of community members across the Tūpuna Maunga network. The very direct outcome of that is we've had certainly no fires during the formal Guy Fawkes season. And as may arise in some of the questions, there were several matters where the need for that oversight and the very firm policy that was required to be undertaken given those fires and many fires over the last 12 months was shown to be the right call. And so the outcome has been that our Tūpuna Maunga for the first time in some years did not experience fires during Guy Fawkes, and that was really down to all that mahi from a wide number of folk of Tamaki Makaurau. Also acknowledge that for our management team that involved time of their personal nature yet again, as they do on many occasions. So with that, on the health and safety register, open it up for members for any questions or comments. Kia ora, Tony.
Kia ora, Chair, thank you. Just regarding those fireworks incidents, I mean, I was surprised and saddened to read those incidents to, there was petrol in one of the people's hands, there were fireworks thrown at guards. I was kind of wondering whether or not it's even appropriate to have trained locals patrolling the maunga in future, because that seems like quite a risk to, even to the security guards, to their safety. Any comments on that, Nick?
Yeah, a few comments. So that was probably the biggest risk that we had to manage during the entire operation, was with regards to managing, the interface between the volunteers and the guards. We made it very clear in our processes and also on the day when we were talking to people that the actual engagement face-to-face with people actually belonged to the trained security guards and not with our staff. And they were more of a extra eyes and ears. but there, I guess there is a point there, and that there is something that we can review in the time. I'd also note that the time of day when these were happening were not at the same time that we had the volunteers on board. So we had the volunteers between 7 and most nights, because of the weather and because things died down, they were gone from about 9:30. So most of the interaction that was had between our staff and our volunteers was actually more of a pleasant conversational nature alongside people that really did understand what we were trying to achieve. So they weren't, I guess, in that direct approach from people when those sort of rather more sinister things were happening. It seems to be that between 11 and roughly 1 o'clock in the morning is when you're starting to see that type of behaviour come out. And then we were in the hands of some really, really professional guards that were able to handle that appropriately throughout that period. So yeah, that would be my answer to that.
Okay, thank you. Did the volunteers tell you how they felt the whole experience was? Have you had good feedback from them?
Again, that's a really good point, and I think we can follow that up with an action to just sort of reflect on what their commentary was. By and large, the nights that I was with volunteers, their feedback was really, really positive. It was actually really enjoyable to be on the Tūpuna Maunga without anyone else there, where you can actually see the whole of Tāmaki Makaurau. So most people felt reward in that in its own self. And I think they enjoyed it from the commentary I've heard from other staff members around it.
Thank you.
Also relevant to note that the team, prior to this all commencing, had been in close contact with police, and there were some patrols, and the police were helpful too. So I'm quite aware that the management team were in line with what you were touching on, Tony, was saying their role really was there as support, seeing eyes and ears of the community, but not to be in that sort of front line position with incidents occurring, because of course their health and safety was paramount. Any other discussion? Kia ora, Josephine, and then Kathy.
Kia ora, Chair. Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge our management team for their work regarding Guy Fawkes and Maunga. I volunteered on Maunga Day, and we were there from 7 till about 10:30. There was some incidents, but the tricky ones happened after we left, and yeah, I felt that it was a really positive exercise, especially with the volunteers from the Skatelands. So it was a good way to do community engagement with groups that are connected, location-wise to the Maunga. We had the police iCar go past us a few times, so it's good to have that. But I think it was also good to have the type of security that we had, which were big Pacific Island men. That was really, really good, really helpful, because they were quite intimidating, but for good reason. So yeah, I just acknowledge you, Nick, and our team for your work in protecting the Maunga. Thank you.
Kia ora, Kathy. You're on mute.
Yeah, got it. Just to reiterate, I think that the whole exercise over protecting the Maunga and using community volunteers was priceless. I think it was. I didn't hear anything other than positive remarks, and I think that was a real win for the Tūpuna Maunga Authority. So any other opportunities to involve the public in assisting us, we should seize with open arms, because there's a willing public out there who want to help. Thank you.
You're on mute now, Paul.
Sorry, we also have a single entry for attachment B with the events register. So just checking if there's any discussion on that, or also from the attachment A, health and safety matters. If not, that brings us to an end. Again, thank you all, thank you management team, thank you members for your attendance, and nā wai te pihopa. Who opened us?
Chair, can I ask, was there a
Oh, quite right. I'll move the acceptance of those and approval of those registers. Someone to second, please. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour say aye. Thank you. All approved. So that takes us to the conclusion. Whakakapia tō tātou hui koa. Clay, Dennis.
Okay, a koe matua, Dennis.
Kia ora, Clay. Tēnā koe. Tika ana me mati tēnei ki mātou nei hui raro te manakitanga o tō mātou nei kaihanga no reira. Me hoki koutou ki o koutou kainga mahi rā nei I raro tōna ke manakitanga. Me manakitia mai o ki o mātou nei. Whānau roti ngā hoi pera ngā wākanga I a marae. Kia paki te kaha te ora, ki runga ki o mātou nei kau mātou kuia I hapai tia mai o mātou nei tikanga rungi te marae. No reira, I raro te ingoa te matua te tama, te wairua tapu ake tonu atu. Āmene.
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 Kia ora, Dennis.
Āmene.